All right, you're a woman, you're a leader. All right, I'm super excited, you guys, because we have an expert on with us, a leadership expert, specifically one who's going to show us as women how we should be showing up as a leader, how we should embrace that and be responsible for that. And she's going to go over a lot of stuff with us, but mainly we're going to focus today on three key things, and that is how to have that strong relationship with yourself to show up as a leader, and being strong when it comes to managing your time, and then also when it comes to standing in your power. It's necessary to do all of these things to start showing up as a leader in your life. So Charlotte, I'm so excited to have my beautiful, wonderful friend Charlotte, who's the CEO and founder of Thrive Coaching and Consulting. She specializes in the leadership coaching specifically, and she's also an amazing certified high performance coach, an elite certified high performance coach. So it's such an honor for us to have you here, Charlotte, to teach us about leadership, especially as a woman in all of our different roles. So can you help us understand, when you say having that strong relationship with ourselves, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Number one, this is something I'm just so excited to help empower women to really grow into the person that they need to be in terms of how they lead in all areas of their lives. So I always say with everything goes back to self, right? If you think about your life right now, usually when our health or self-care is off, it's hard to maintain feeling strong, feeling powerful, feeling, in alignment in our life when our self is not in alignment. And so when I say, really owning kind of like your health and yourself. And that for me encompasses a few different avenues: our physical health, our emotional health, our mental health, right? And our spiritual health. And so the four areas really need to be in alignment for us to be in a place where we're feeling good and strong, where we're not taking actions that's costing us something, costing us our relationships, costing us our sense of self, our worth, right? Costing us our joy, because too often we're seeing women, and I applaud you ladies for helping women in the way that you do, that they're moving forward, but it's costing them something huge. And so always bring it back to self and health.
I absolutely love this point. It's so true. We compromise things to get to the next level in other areas. It's really hard to notice until you feel the balance out of place, like something's starting to fall apart and you realize, oh my gosh, I need to change something. So how do you coach women, or just leaders in general, to be aware of keeping the balance as they're, living into more responsibility, taking ownership of this leadership space, specifically when it comes to connecting or having that strong self-relationship?
Yeah, I think awareness is key, and that's why I'm such an advocate for coaching, right? I originally went down the consulting realm, which is helping people problem solve, helping businesses problem solve, and giving them the answers. Why I veered towards coaching and really bringing the two together is because when you coach someone, you're asking the right questions, and then they're identifying, so they're becoming more self-reflective, and they have the ability to catch themselves more frequently. So here's the thing. Sometimes people don't know it until they verbalize it, because they've been saying statements for so long, like, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm just surviving, I'm just making it through, I've got no time, like all these indicators that something is out of control within someone's life. And so then asking those right questions about, like, hey, well, let's just go take a look at your self-care right now, because sometimes they're so stuck in, I'm not getting the right results from people, or I don't know how to lead my team, or I don't know, or I'm getting frustrated because I'm hitting walls in certain avenues, but really they're just exhausted. And that exhaustion is coming from something that is connected to health and self-care.
Mm.
So I have a question for you. So
Yeah.
when you first get these women to realize that they are having these repetitive statements, how do you help them overcome whatever hesitation? Is there a common hesitation that you're hearing from women?
Mm.
And how do you get them to overcome so that they can recognize that they need to be in that leadership role, whether it's in family or work or whatever aspect of their life?
Mm.
It's usually time. Lack of time is the biggest one that comes up. And with the three topics that we're speaking to today, there's always an excuse as to why they can't move forward with the right habits because they don't have the time. And part of it is getting them to see that there's possibility there. And with each person, it's different, right? There's no one formula. And that's the same thing with communication. When I'm coaching in that realm, there's no one formula that if you just do this, magically, you're going to get this exact scenario. Part of it is getting them to ask the right, for me, to ask the right questions to them, for them to start to pave the path, but more so, it's about commitment. Here we are wanting integrity from the people around us, but yet are we truly being integral with ourselves? Right? We're asking, like, we want other people to fill us up. We want other people to make us happy. We want our jobs to fulfill us, but yet we're not taking the step always to really own and be responsible that that's for us to do first. Anything that we get on top of that is icing on top of the cake. But the moment we lose being responsible when we say that something is because of something else, or because I didn't get that support, or because I don't have support at home, right? We lose all sense of healthy control because we're then saying we don't have it within us to make this happen as leaders. And it's our choice. And when we shift the priority with our self-care and with anything basically that's going to help you move forward, then all of a sudden you're in healthy control again. So I really help them connect the dots to, you are in control, you've got this, you're already whole and full and amazing. We just got to like accelerate this, and you got to commit to yourself, be integral with yourself.
And that's when fear takes over too. When they that's a whole nother topic.
That's a whole other.
So
that all day long.
Yeah.
So makes so much sense, and I love how you're wording it so that it's so relatable. Like people can, like, I hope all of you guys who are listening, you're just like bells are going off, going, "Oh my gosh, I totally get it. That's how I feel. I'm in that situation," and even specific scenarios of where you're experiencing those thoughts and feelings. So when it comes to having that strong relationship with yourself, what's one thing a woman can start doing right now to get that better, to improve that connection?
I would say one of the most important things, and it sounds so simple, but as all habits do, you got to create white space every single day to just be with yourself. Nothing else will come if you don't have space to connect, to think, to observe the thoughts, the behaviors, the feelings, the issues that are coming up for you. And I say observe because it's not judge, it's not feel shameful, it's not be frustrated and angry. It's just observe, like that curiosity. Oh, interesting. Why did I think like that? Why am I behaving like that? Why am I frustrated like that? If it's not getting you the right result, you need to change. It's not everyone around you.
Love it.
I love that, because so often we sit with our anger or our discontent instead of saying what's causing it. I love that. I love how you frame that.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to the women out there? We coach people to go on the positive route and really surround yourself around people who are going to uplift you and cheer you on and not get into the drama or the gossip or anything like that. And it's so hard for women to understand that point of, you really have to look at the 5 closest people that you're around and where you want to be in your future, and are they going to help you get there? Women don't know how to break that cycle. And if you have a really close friend who is more negative and a little bit more energy draining, what would you give to them on that?
So give to the person who's experiencing that friend, or give to the friend so that they shift?
Good question.
Give it to the women who want to change their life, but they're surrounded around the negativity.
Okay. Got it. I'd give a different answer for each one. So that's why I just want to make sure. I would say, you know, sometimes we second guess our feelings. We actually don't want that in our life, but we don't know how to ignite that, which leads us to the second part, standing in your power, right? Which I want us to explain that after. But so we know what we need in our life usually. We know when something doesn't feel right. And yet it's so scary because of those fears of like fear of loss, or fear that somebody's going to judge you, or fear that it's going to create more overwhelm in your life. What I would say to that woman, and through a series of steps probably, because it's not like an overnight thing that usually happens, is we got to get you confident that you know what's best for you, right? That you're not going to second guess, but then we got to give you some good communication skills. We got to get you feeling confident in your ability to make a decision, regardless of what may or may not happen. That is not ours to control, right? How other people show up when we're in alignment, when we're being integral, we're not being nasty, we're showing up as our best self. Not my monkey, not my circus, right? I'm not here to make somebody else's journey more comforted. I'm here on my own journey, and if that helps other people show up as their best self and to be able to progress in their life, that's fantastic. But too often we enable, too often we're cushioning the fall for someone, right? And sometimes it's selfish because we don't want to have to experience the aftermath of what's going to happen when we stand true to what we know is true for ourselves. But until we do that, we're constantly getting that same lesson over and over again. One of the rules that I live by, one of my beliefs, is that until you learn the lesson, it just keeps showing up. It keeps showing up in another job. It keeps showing up in another person. You keep avoiding it, and what we resist persists is just going to keep coming at you until you really, really move through it and feel it. And part of it is learning how to sit in the uncomfortable, how to sit in the pain sometimes, and to redefine that experience. Because if we keep avoiding it and keep moving away from the things that feel bad, we're never going to be in alignment. Ever. You'll never fully get there.
So true. Awesome answer, Charlotte. So much clarity there for the mom out there, or the woman out there who's struggling in that. We all struggle with that. Having good friends around is a huge issue for so many of us. I see that come up time and time again. Women are always asking, how do I get good friends around me? How do I deal with the negative? And it is like, can you qualify for us, explain to us, put in context about standing in your power? How would you describe that for the woman?
Yeah, and I'm always mindful with the word power, because power can be ego, could be strong-arming someone, you know what I mean? But when I say stand in your power, there's, you know, when you imagine the person who just has this energy around them, that they're so confident that you feel it. It's not even a word that's coming out of this person's mouth. They just are well with themselves. It's something that we see, it's something we feel, and it's something we hear when they speak. And so getting somebody to that point is when they're not apologizing anymore, right? They're not apologizing for their actions, but they are careful and mindful of how they show up with people. They're not being disrespectful and completely selfish. They are actually just owning their choices, their life, and whether you agree or disagree, that's okay. It's really not, it's not for us to be concerned over that, right? I think we've all been, and I'm sure the entire audience has cared too much about what other people have thought, so then you didn't move forward. How ridiculous is that when you think about it as an observer in your own life? You didn't move towards something that you felt was good for you because you were scared of what other people were going to say. Yet they're not paying your bills. Yet they're not the ones really wanting and desiring joy and happiness in your life. They're not the ones that are there, you know, in your world. You are. And my biggest thing with people is that you don't want to look back 10 years, 15 years down the road being like, I actually have regrets right now. Regrets over things that you could have just done. All the fears are in here. That's what's holding you back from from taking that step and owning and creating more joy within your life, right? We generate all those things. And yeah, and so stepping into your power also means not only are you clear, you're joyful, and some people are going to be annoyed by it, and that's okay. You know, you're going to, but it's also that you communicate in a way where you're not holding back and settling and distorting what you truly want because of other people. You're just owning you, and that's it. Do your best, forget the rest, right? Like we hear, and it's true.
Oh my gosh, I love that. You mentioned one of the times I was talking to you, you specifically mentioned that, like, the physicality meeting your words when it comes to standing in your power. I loved when you said that, and I want desperately for the hero moms out there to hear how you explain that. Can you explain that again for the audience?
Oh my gosh, and I see this, I like conflict resolution and communication, like effective communication is one of my favorite topics to talk about, because here's the thing. Sometimes people are clear, right? Like they're clear. They know what it is that they want and they're communicating, right? But their body language and how they're showing up is completely going against what their words are. So, and they think that they're confident and clear. Sometimes they just think that the clarity is what the confidence is, but it's not. Confidence is connection of a multitude of different things. Clarity of your energy, of your self-worth, of your mind, of where you're at with your thoughts, you know, and your physicality. And so that's how I kind of keep myself in check. So, you know, and prime, you know, example, I was coaching someone, and she literally was sunken in and sitting back and head down, but stating what she was clearly saying. But what you're getting in terms of the person on the other end is a mixed message. You can't fully trust it. And this is what I would love for people to understand. Every interaction that we have creates trust or creates a lack of trust. When someone is clear and honest and direct, but still, you know, showing up in a good way, you're not just being mean and honest, you know what I mean? Like you're showing up as your best. We can trust that. Our energy is so strong when we're communicating that if we are saying something, but our body language isn't showing that that's what you mean, right? That you're owning that, you're not going to trust it. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Doesn't mean like you don't have to like go into that with too much meaning. It's just, I'm not going to trust it. Now, me as a coach might ask you some other questions because I might have the insight to be like, oh, maybe this person is just lacking confidence or doesn't understand how their physicality really is affecting the message that they're trying to portray right now. And so when you start to become more aware, which goes back to the white space, if you don't even take the time to understand yourself, to ask yourself why, to observe how you're showing up, you're never going to know to actually move yourself forward, or that potentially something's wrong. And what comes up is, I will constantly hear, I'm so frustrated, like no one's listening to me, or I can't get the results. And it's just this, you've hit this wall. But part of it is your messaging might not be delivered in a way that is conducive to getting the best results. And that's all that matters. It's not about us being right. When we're right, someone's wrong. It's just about, are you delivering things in a way that is more aligned with you getting the right result? That's it. And it all has to do with how you show up.
So good. And it comes back again to, you know, you're segueing perfectly into the time management piece for the leader, because how does a woman, especially a woman who's a mom, just has a million hats that they're wearing. So, and you said at the very beginning, this shows up a lot in terms of like not ever having enough time. So if we don't have enough time to get through the day, how are we going to get enough time to cover our white space for ourselves? Like, how do we manage our time?
Gosh. So sometimes people are genuinely stuck, right? So for me, when I'm working with somebody, I've got to identify whether or not this person is just wasting a lot of time and they've just told themselves a story. They're just used to those habits. And so that's become their reality. Or they're genuinely in a space where they're like, like you're saying these things, Charlotte, but I have no idea where to at this time. So you got to figure out what are the variables in your life that are holding you back, right? So again, more clarity, asking more questions. Then you got to schedule yourself. So sometimes it's, sure, we're going to add something else into your already crazy jam-packed where you can't even see it as a possibility. But without doing this step here, we're not going to get the information. We're not going to be able to move you forward. And there is somewhere in your life that we can generate a little bit more time and a little bit more energy, because the two go hand in hand. There is somewhere where you're probably saying yes to things that you actually don't want to do. So then it goes back to stepping in your power. How do we get you to a place where you're saying no to things sometimes and not apologizing for it, where you're able to clearly explain the why? And again, when you're making choices for you, it's not your job to own how the person's reacting. Of course, someone on the other end is either getting said no to, or they're not getting what they want. Yes, they might not be happy about it, right?
Yeah.
It's just like human behavior, but it's not for us to own. Because here's the thing, you're the one stuck in your life right now feeling like you have no time and overextending yourself. You got to put yourself first. And all the moms out there, all the dads out there, whoever it is that's listening in, maybe just like listening in, it's up to you to own you, which goes back to our first point. You got to put yourself somewhat first. And sometimes first is opening up that planner and like adding something that's about you into that planner, shifting one habit. Yeah, maybe you got to wake up 20 minutes earlier. And that seems like torture. Something may need to give for you to take that step. But what I say is trust the process. You will at some point build into a mechanism where then you're generating more and more time and you feel more and more control. And for those who are truly stuck, I say, give yourself some grace. This too shall pass. You have the child who is like up every 45 minutes. Like it will pass. At some point, things will shift. And for you, it may just be, you got to give yourself love every moment of every day and just let things go. All those things that you're telling yourself you have to do, or the house has to be clean, or whatever. Maybe you just got to start letting go a little bit and being okay with that, because that's your sanity. That goes back to the 4 areas of your self-care that are there's a cost because you're holding to this high bar that maybe isn't working for you. Maybe you got to redefine what that high bar is.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Paula, I'm sorry, Paula.
No, go ahead, Kelsey.
I feel like these 3 points that you talked about are really interconnected. And I love Paula, like I can't separate them. And I thought they were separate at first. Yeah. So going back to being strong and standing in your power, that one gave me goosebumps, because I love when you said, I'm not here to make someone else's journey more comfortable, which to a lot of our hero moms, and I was in this space too, oh my God, what are you talking about? I have to please everybody. That part, that fear boils up in you, because that's what we are. We start out as people pleasers instead of standing in our power, like you say, but we want to become this person of presence. That's who we look at and go, I want to be like them or have the qualities that they have. So to me, I feel like it's landing on me that that's the top part for me. That's like the hierarchy. So when you talk about having white space for yourself and then also time blocking, is there one that you feel is more important than the other, or does it depend on the person, or does the hero mom just say, okay, I've got to get my calendar and I just have to create white space. I have to start blocking and make sure that white space gets in there because I want to be that person of presence.
Yeah. I think whichever one, so part of this is trusting ourselves. When you're sitting with that statement, which one do you feel you need the most? If you could only pick one and go with it. And then start to add in the next. We got to start trusting what our body's telling us that it needs. Not our logical brain, but our body. And when we're not being present to that, it's showing up as aches. little
Love
scratch at first, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you're like, why is my shoulder hurting? Like I didn't do anything to it. So one of my beliefs is that, our emotional health is connected into our physical health. Your body, if you're not taking care of it and not placing priority there, it will take over someday.
It's
And then
awareness.
what?
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
awareness, right? And so choose one and go with it. I started using, Brenda Burchard's high performance planner, and it is so reflective, and it's the planner together for me has just been like an amazing, an amazing tool to just help combine both. And here's the thing, it doesn't need to be perfect. Whether you use that or use a different tool, if you miss a day, that's okay. Give yourself some grace, but then give yourself a little kick in the butt that tomorrow it's going to be different. Like, oh, I've already been 3 days. I stopped, eating healthy. I might as well just give up, right? No, part of this is how quickly are you bouncing back when things derail a little bit. It's not about being hard on yourself and being mean to yourself. It's acknowledge it, but then change it.
And that's the responsibility piece as a leader. As a woman, you're a woman, you're a leader. This is all about leadership. The three things that I heard you say, Charlotte, that stood out to me in terms of like what the hero mom could be doing right now to level themselves up more as a leader is create white space to connect with themselves, ask questions and observe the issues, and then put themselves first. If you guys just did those three things right now, just started doing those, you would start feeling more of the benefits of the things that Charlotte's talking about here. And more importantly, that would allow you to start really truly acknowledging yourself for the leader that you are. Even if we're not thinking we're leaders because we don't own a business, or we're not a team leader, or we're not a high position in a corporation, doesn't matter. You're still a leader at the very least. Even if you don't have kids or family or anything, you're the leader of yourself. And
Totally.
you can't lead anything or anyone else or have the influence or the impact that you want in terms of creating that legacy unless you first lead yourself. And these are perfect first steps for you to do that. Charlotte, this was absolutely amazing and not enough time to dig in. So we have to have you back and go deeper into the issues. Please, please, please.
Yes, anytime.
Awesome.
Anytime you guys need, I'd be more than willing. Yeah.
Can you give us some closing words, Charlotte, to encourage the hero mom with leadership?
So what I would say kind of comes back to exactly what you just put. You're a leader in your life, right? And no one's going to do that work for you. And you can either stay stuck feeling like there's gaping holes and voids and needs that are unfulfilled, or you can just start moving yourself forward and gaining the strength and realizing that you are the captain of your own ship. And I truly believe that when we take the steps forward and are more aligned and more congruent in our life, and we're acting more integral to ourselves, it's amazing what starts to come back to us. That abundance. Things start to feel like, oh my gosh, okay, it's not resistance, not like you going against the current. Stop making things so hard. Start loving yourself more and start being more authentic with who you are, and things will start to shift.
Love it. Well, I'm inspired to take more action on being a better, stronger leader and owning my space for sure, owning my power. Charlotte, how can our audience get connected to you? Where can they find you? How can they learn more about leadership from you?
Oh my gosh, amazing. So I've got my website, charlotteferreux.com, which I know is hard to spell, but I'm sure there'll be a link, or you'll have my name in this post. I also you can find me on Facebook under Charlotte Ferreux Change by Choice, and Thrive Coaching and Consulting. So 2 different areas there. I've got my podcast, Change by Choice, and a new one that is the Rebel and Rise. So that's where I do my interviews as well. And Miss Paula is going to be being interviewed too. So I'm super excited. And on Instagram, Charlotte Ferreux _Ferreux.
Awesome. You guys definitely take advantage of looking Charlotte up. Go follow her, listen to her podcast, read her posts, grow yourself and love yourself in making time to grow. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Charlotte, thank you so much. Mwah. Love you so much.
Love you,
we'll
girls.
see you guys on the next podcast.